Hello, my name is Sarah Whitcroft. I'm a maternal child health worker with Carey County Family Services. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make California rolls. So this is a pretty simple recipe and you just need a few things. All of these you should be able to get at your local supermarket. So we've got some dried seaweed sheets, which is also called nori, some mayonnaise, you don't have to put that in if you don't want. We've got a cucumber, an avocado, some rice vinegar, soy sauce, sesame seeds, some sushi rice. If you can't find sushi rice, you can also use just sticky rice, white rice. This is imitation crab. You can also use real crab meat if you can find that. We've got some saran wrap and we've also got a rolling sushi mat. If you can't find one of these, you can also use some baking paper, but this is probably the best way to go. Okay, so I've put 2 cups of the sushi rice in a saucepan like this. I'm then going to just give it a bit of a rinse with some cold water. So put some in and just give it a swish around like that, and then pour off the water. You can see that the water is turning white and cloudy, so we want to rinse it until that water is clear. Just going to pour that off and then do the same thing again. Give another little swish and then pour it off. You might need to do that a couple of times. Okay, so the water was rinsing clear, so now with that I'm going to put 2.5 cups of cold water in. If the directions are slightly different on your rice, then go by what it says on the packet. So that's 1, that's 2, and about 1/2. Okay, and so we're going to put that on a medium heat for a few minutes. And this is where you want to look at your package for your own rice because it'll have directions. So I'm going to put this on medium heat for about 5 minutes until it starts to boil, and then I'm going to reduce it to a lower heat and put a lid on there to cover it. So while your rice is cooking, we're going to take this time to chop up some of the rest of our ingredients. So I've got cucumber and an avocado, and then I've also got the imitation crab meat. We're going to chop all those up nice and fine. So I had a really big cucumber, so I've just taken part of it. It's going to maybe go from about there. And then we want to get it really nice and fine, so I'm going to do it in half. And then, let's see, go in half again. And then slice it really thinly. As thin as you can get without chopping your fingers off. And do that for all of the cucumber that you've got. You want it to be like that. Okay, so I've got my cucumber all chopped up. Next is the avocado. So you want one that's nice and ripe but still a little bit firm. You don't want it to disintegrate. So I'm just going to chop it lengthways like this. Just be careful, and then twist. And this one's pretty good. For the pip, just be careful. Definitely do this away from you if you can. There we go. And I definitely find it easier if you chop this in half. Just like so. Oh, that's one a little tricky. And then you can use your thumb just to go underneath and peel that off. If it's ripe enough, it will come off really easily. It's a little bit messy. Okay, and then same thing again with the avocado. We're going to chop it into nice fine slices, like so. Might get a little squishy, and that's fine. Just lay it out like this. Careful of your fingers as well, because the slippier it gets, the easier it is to just slip the knife. That's kind of hard to pick up too. Okay, so we're going to do that for all of them. So at this point the rice was ready to be covered because it was boiling and bubbling a little bit. So I've just covered it with a lid, and I've reduced it down to about a 3 on the temperature scale. And then once the rice is ready, we're going to put it in a separate bowl and let it cool for about 15 minutes until it's room temperature. And then we're going to put our rice vinegar in there. Okay, so we've got a ½ pound of imitation crab. This one's actually made out of, let's see, pollock and whiting, and it's flavoured with crab. You can use actual crab, and sometimes you can get this that is actually already cut up into slices. The one that I've got is like this, so we're going to cut that up just now. So just like this, very easy. Cut it into strips. And don't worry if it comes apart a little bit, because when we're making the roll, we can top it up. Alright, so the rice is finished, and I put it in this bowl and let it cool down for about 15 minutes. It's at room temperature just now. And it should look pretty much like this. It should stick to your spoon a little bit. So what we're going to do just now, I've got some rice vinegar, and we're going to put 4 tablespoons of rice vinegar into your rice and give it a good stir. You can also at this time put in some sugar and salt to season. So this was 2 tablespoons, so I just put in 2 of those to make 4. I'm going to give that a good stir so it gets all the way through. And try not to make a mess like me. So I'm also just toasting some sesame seeds in a little frying pan here over medium to high heat. This is just a little extra, so if there are any allergies in your family or you don't like sesame seeds, don't worry, you don't need to do this. It just gives it a little extra. Okay, so everything is ready to start assembling the California roll. I've got my sesame seeds, which are toasted to like a golden brown just here. And I've also got some water, which is really useful for when you start putting the rice over. I've got the rolling mat just here. What we're going to do is cover it in saran wrap so that nothing sticks to the rolling mat. Okay, so I've got some saran wrap over the rolling mat. I'm then going to take the nori, which is the sheet of seaweed. And if you look, my nori has some little grooves that are down here, which means that whenever it's all rolled up, it's a guide for cutting the little pieces together. So I'm going to place it so that the lines are running away from me. Then we're going to take, it's actually really helpful to have a little bit of water in your fingers for this bit. I'm going to take some rice and pop it towards just here, and then with your fingers you just want to press that down until it's really firm and in a nice even layer. And you want to stop just about halfway there. Really push it in. Just get it as even as you can. This takes a bit of practice. I'm still practicing. So when your rice is evenly pressed down, you're just going to start to layer up your ingredients. So if you do this in a nice line, and you don't really want to overfill it because then it won't roll properly. So you're going to put some avocado and some cucumber, just like that. Oh, is that 2 pieces? It's just 1. So pretty much like that. And then you're going to put a line of the crab in there too. And you can break this up fairly easily if it doesn't fit the whole way over. Just like that. You can also at this point put a little bit of mayonnaise just in there. It does make it a little moister. you can do that, or you don't have to if you don't want to. You can also use mayonnaise and a little bit of sriracha to make a dipping sauce for afterwards. So if you don't want to put the mayo inside, you can do it after too. I'm just going to put a little tiny dash because it does make it a little bit more moist. Not too much though. Fun part. So what we're going to do at this point, you're going to take the roll, and you want to do this really tightly if you can. So you're going to grab the bottom of the rolling mat, and we're going to really tightly push it. So once it gets to about here, when you've rolled it over one time, you're going to give it a bit of a squeeze just to make sure that it's all going to stay together. And then make sure you lift up your saran wrap and keep rolling it. Now at this point, you should have a roll that looks somewhat like this. You're going to unwrap it from the saran wrap, and then we're going to slice it up. Okay, so like I said before, there might be some little grooves on your nori that show you where to cut, so I'm just going to follow those. You need a nice sharp knife, and you don't want to press too hard just in case it squishes your sushi up, or the roll up. Just going to cut really gently, just like so. Now I've rolled these with the nori on the outside. We can also do it with the rice on the outside, and then you can put some sesame seeds over the top of that. So I'll show you how to do it that way too. But that, you can see, is what it's going to look like on the inside. So you can see your avocado and your cucumber and your crab quite clearly. Okay, so for the California rolls with the rice on the outside, we're going to take the nori again and place it the same way so the little ridges are facing away from you. I'm going to cut this to about just over half, maybe about 2/3 of the way across. Okay, I'll discard that. I'm going to place this just on here, and then we're going to put some rice on, just enough to cover equally over this whole part. And again, if you put a little bit of water on your fingers, it makes it a lot easier, so the rice doesn't stick to you quite as much. You can also use the back of a wooden spoon for this if you don't want to get your fingers dirty. Okay, so the rice is fairly evenly over that whole piece of seaweed, so I'm just going to lift it up very carefully, try not to break it. And we're going to put it upside down so the rice is on the bottom. Make sure that your saran wrap is definitely over all of the mat there, because you don't want this sticking to the mat. I'm just going to pop that there. And then we're going to put our ingredients on in layers like we did before. So we've got our avocado, more avocado. Try and get it as straight as possible. You can kind of mold it to go like that. And a little bit of cucumber. And then place your crab over the top, just in there. And you might need a little extra for that. I'm going to put this part as well. And then we're going to get ready to roll it. So make sure you've got the mat and the saran wrap. And we're going to start rolling just like that. And my saran wrap's actually fallen a little bit behind, so we're going to just roll right over like that, and then give it a good squeeze at this point. Lift up the mat again, and then your saran wrap should be like that. And we're just going to continue to roll it so that it's nice and even. Then we can take this off. You can see I haven't gone quite far enough to the edge. You maybe will do this a little better than I have. And then we're gonna unroll it from the saran wrap. Just like so. I'm gonna put that to the side. At that point, you can, if you want, take some of these toasted sesame seeds. I'm gonna do that just on here. Mine are sticking together a bit too much. Yours, oh wow, they really stick together. Yours don't have to do that. But I'm just going to roll the sushi in the sesame seeds. And we can do a little more on there as well, actually. Depending on how much you like the sesame seeds. And again, you're going to take a sharp knife and just cut in segments along here. Try not to press down too hard because it is quite delicate and it definitely will squish the roll if you're too hard. So just very gently, and it should look like that. There we go. So I like to dip the sushi in a bit of soy sauce. You can also make that mayo and sriracha mix. And this is the result. Definitely it is easier to roll them with the nori on the outside. So if it's your first time, maybe give that one a go first. If you're feeling a little more adventurous, you can try it with the rice on the outside. Definitely took me a few more goes than the other one. But I hope you enjoy.